So I'm a filmmaker. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my life with regard to the film industry and how I started the IndieFlix and the IndieFlix Foundation. So I was at NYU studying political science. I grew up here in Seattle, and I love the law. So that's what I wanted to do, was I wanted to argue for things I believed in. And I fell in love with a director who shot commercials and industrials, and then we went around the country shooting big things. I dove right in and started doing big campaigns for like Manufacturer Hanover Trust, and I learned editing, I learned casting, and I became an associate producer, and I worked on all of these wonderful commercials. And I went out to visit my mom in LA, who had just moved there from Seattle, and got a job working on a little independent film out of the trunk of my car, and I started doing costume design. And then I started doing feature films, and my first feature film that I co-produced with one of my best friends, Carlos Candiuzzi, who's actually executive director of ACT Theater. So he and I made a film called Outpatient. It was one of the first digital features. We shot it for $750,000 in the days when a $5 million movie was considered crap. And we made our movie, and we went around to the film festivals. We got rave reviews and standing ovations, and we got 3 offers. And I was like, great, this is so awesome. I didn't even look at the offers, but one night in my office, I started going through them because they were like this thick. And if you, because I'm always thinking like film and story, there was like a sea of red flags just coming off the pages. And I realized that by the time, we'd have to wait till the TV licensing deals before we'd probably see a penny. And I thought, how am I going to pay back my investors? How am I going to make another movie? So I started talking to friends of mine at Warner Brothers and Focus and Searchlight, and I asked them, like, how does this distribution thing work? And they said, this is a great deal. This is how it works. It's not about making money. It's about getting exposure. It's about aligning with these big, distribution companies and getting validation, and then you might make some money on your second or third film. And I just thought, really, that's how it works? It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair. I've just screwed over all the people that invested in us. So we met with a bunch of people, and then Carlo and I sat down and we made a list of what we wish existed in a company. And we launched IndieFlix with 36 titles. I started to think, none of this makes sense to me. I don't get it. I can't build this Hollywood model. I have to stick with my own model. Hollywood thinks I'm just this annoying young, female filmmaker that doesn't seem to quite get how Hollywood works because I'm not being compliant, I'm not conforming, and I have this crazy model where it's non-exclusive, we're transparent, it's free for the filmmaker, we share the lion's share with them, and we have always stayed true to that. And so I wanted to give a cash prize to a filmmaker because I wanted to be known as a company that pays filmmakers. So I looked on the roster of film festivals coming up, and the next one coming up at that time was a little tiny festival called Stony Brook. No one really heard of it. So I flew out on my mileage. I slept, in some cheap little hotel, and I got to give my cash prize, but I'm standing in line for the buffet, and it moved really slow. It was like 45 minutes to get through it, and the guy standing next to me had to listen to me talk about my business model. And he kept going, I don't get it. Well, how can you be non-exclusive and you're not charging the filmmakers? Well, how do you make money? I don't understand, blah, 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 and how are you going to market? And by the time we got through and ate, and then I went up and gave the award, and then, we went our separate ways, and he called me a week later, and he said, I really can't stop thinking about your model, and I pitched it to my editor, and we're going to do a cover. We're going to feature you in the New York Times Sunday Arts and Leisure section, and we had a 2-page spread on October 23rd, and we weren't launched yet. And I'm like, okay, we got to launch this thing. So we did it. We were live. We got hit with all this traffic and stuff, and people were like, the phone started ringing. They're like, AOL's on the phone. I'm like, God, I cannot get rid of that email. It's like a cobweb, and they're like, I said, tell them no. And they're like, it's AOL Ventures. They want to know if you're raising money. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know. It just catapulted us onto the radar. And from there, we've just continued to grow. And where people used to say, she's crazy, don't give her the time of day, none of the big distributors would work with us. And we just one by one, grew our library with individual filmmakers from all over the world. and we've made mistakes and we've fallen down, but we pick ourselves up and we're just honest with the filmmakers. And we say, look, we're going to grow and we're going to be big, and it's going to be, I'm so excited for it. I love that it's just this natural feeling coming out of me, because I've spent about a year and a half feeling really frustrated and wondering if I should be doing this. So I'm grateful that I feel very clear about my path now. Lots of red Volkswagens. Thank you.